Jimmy Fallon welcomes Chris Martin. NBC Tonight.
I will take your life if you hurt her.
You don't get to make the threats anymore. Careful, Gabrielle. I have access to everyone you love.
I will do anything to bring Lacey home. I'm coming for you.
I think he has a plan for all of us. I'll be waiting.
Found new next Thursday on.
Live from Rhinelander, this is News Watch 12 at 10. The Northwoods Best News with Dan Hagan, meteorologist Chase Ropenack, and Saul Meyer with sports. News from where you live starts now.
Good evening, I'm Dan Hagan. A Lac du Flambeau tribal member hit the pavement of Rhinelander's Walmart parking lot while being handled by an Oneida County Sheriff's deputy. He says he was being targeted because he's indigenous. We have footage of the incident, but a warning, it can be hard to watch. Here's dashcam footage from the Oneida County Sheriff's Office. Thomas Molson is shown handcuffed by Deputy Will Taggy and either falls or is thrown to the pavement. Captain Tyler Young of the Oneida County Sheriff's Department reviewed the incident and told the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel that Taggy acted appropriately and that Molson's legs were crossed and he tripped over himself. Molson said nothing was ever out of control for him. He contends he was targeted by Taggy because he's from the LDF tribe. Molson received 13 stitches above his right eye and said he still has medical issues affecting his vision and orientation. He said he plans to sue the sheriff's office and the deputy. The Wisconsin DOJ is moving ahead with a criminal investigation of Wausau Mayor Doug Denny. According to an agency spokesperson, the Division of Criminal Investigation will take the lead on the case. Denny has faced legal actions after removing Wausau's ballot box on September 22nd without consulting the city clerk. Yesterday, Wausau voters filed a complaint with the DOJ against Denny. He insists he did nothing wrong. Well, after an extended summer, it kind of feels like fall now.
Mostly 60s out there again today. Tomorrow we could go for 70, followed by what could be some rainfall back in the forecast on Saturday night. Let's go outside now and check on high temperatures today. There were 50s, there were 60s, and 70s across the area today, all because of some cloud cover across far northern Wisconsin. That cloud is now breaking up, and we are in for mostly clear skies overnight tonight into tomorrow. That's going to give us a very cold night ahead. Already temperatures where there are clear skies to the west of us, it's 34 in Hayward already, and that's the air moving this direction. So expect some very cold low temperatures tonight. Here's the cloud cover, and you see the rain showers in there as well. This is all virga. It's not reaching the ground. This air is incredibly dry down here as it falls through the column of air and evaporates, so thus there's no rainfall out there. But the clouds are leaving the area now, and that will likely give us a pretty good freeze and frost across the area tonight into early parts of tomorrow. Our forecast going forward, though, is mostly clear skies to partly cloudy skies with low temperatures down near 33. Your full forecast is coming up, Dan.
Thanks, Jeff. An unlikely pairing today in Ripon, Wisconsin. The Democratic nominee for president and a conservative former congresswoman campaigning together at the birthplace of the Republican Party. Liz Cheney and Kamala Harris both tore into former President Donald Trump for his role in igniting a riot at the Capitol, and they warned of the threat he poses to democracy should he return to power. Cheney took the stage first.
I tell you, I have never voted for a Democrat, but this year I am proudly casting my vote for Vice President Kamala Harris. Vice President Harris is standing in the breach at a critical moment in our nation's history. She's working to unite reasonable people from all across the political spectrum.
The vice president said that while she and Cheney might not agree on much, they shared a love of country and democratic ideals.
People of every party must stand together. And let me be clear. Democracy and freedom are not only at stake here at home, they are also at stake around the world.
Miss Cheney became the top Republican on the House committee that investigated Trump's role in the January 6th riot. Suddenly an outcast in her party, she later lost her seat to a Trump-backed challenger. Former President Donald Trump held a rally in Michigan today where he railed against illegal immigration, talked up his planned corporate tax cut, and repeated false statements about the 2020 election. Trump spoke to a few thousand people at a university gymnasium in Saginaw County, Michigan. He sold his plan across-the-board tariffs on products made outside the U.S. and lowering the corporate tax rate from 21% to 15%. Trump also continued to repeat disproven claims of voter fraud from 4 years earlier.
We did great in 2016. A lot of people don't know. We did much better in 2020. We won. We did win. It was a rigged election. It was a rigged election. You have to tell Kamala Harris that's why I'm doing it again. If I thought I lost, I wouldn't be doing this again.
Trump will hold an event in Juneau, Wisconsin on Sunday. Harris will be in Michigan tomorrow. The strike at ports along the nation's east and Gulf Coast is over. The agreement on wages amounts to a $4 per hour raise for each year of the 6-year contract. The union agreed to extend the contract that expired earlier this week until January 15th while the full agreement is worked on. As a result, the 50,000 union members will return to the job tomorrow. Chief Deputy Corey Dasso has been selected to replace Taylor County Sheriff Larry Wobeking, who is retiring at the end of the year. Dasso was appointed by Governor Tony Evers. Wobeking said he will be working closely with Dasso over the next couple of months and is confident the transition will be seamless. Nearly 3 weeks after Elijah Vu's remains were identified, the investigation into what happened to the Wisconsin toddler is moving forward. The 3-year-old's remains were found on September 7th, more than 6 months after he was reported missing from a Two Rivers apartment. Reporter Emily Matesic reports.
This is not the outcome that we hoped for. The family's devastated. We're devastated. Our community's devastated.
That was Two Rivers Police Chief Ben Minert last month. He was publicly confirming skeletal remains found in the woods on private land just a few miles from where Elijah Vu was reported missing were in fact the toddlers. The announcement ending a lengthy and emotional search for the boy by the community that continues to remember him and the law enforcement agency that continues to investigate his death.
How are you guys doing?
I would say on a whole, the department, there's a sense of it's sadness but relief. It's obviously not the outcome we wanted, but it does bring closure to finally finding Elijah. Now it just comes the part of talking about what happened and improving what happened.
Two Rivers Police wouldn't speak specifically about the ongoing investigation, but they did say they are determined to get justice for Elijah Vu.
We already had an investigation we're working on based on the evidence that we had. So obviously I can't speak to what that is or those details will be coming eventually. But yes, the investigation has been ongoing since. We've been collecting the evidence, building a case along those lines. So
Two Rivers Police investigators are working daily on the case, and they continue to partner with local, state, and federal agencies, too. Much like the public had helped search for Elijah Vu since February, police continue to encourage anyone with information on the case to speak up.
If something were to come up, somebody remembers something, somebody sees something on a video, by all means bring it forward.
It will ultimately be up to the district attorney's office to decide when to file any additional charges in Elijah Vu's death. The Two Rivers Police saying they're working hand in hand with the DA's office as thousands of pages of reports and evidence are being reviewed.
Fall brings out some timeless activities, and a lot of them can be done on one local farm. Coming up, we'll take you inside a historic farm near Merrill. That's after Weather with Jeff right here on Newswatch 12.
I thought these were $6.
In 2019, but not since Biden and Kamala.
That's a little jarring.
Just like housing, fuel, even beer.
Tom.
Sorry, Mom. But that's why I voted against the wasteful Washington spending, and I'm working to preserve more of your paycheck and put the good stuff back on your table.
Keep the change.
And no tax on tips.
Finally, a good deal.
Just wait till November. I'm Tom Tiffany, and I approve this message.
Who's that Derek Van Orden think he is? He thinks he's better than us. Like that time he screamed at somebody, I don't give a who you are. I'm a congressman.
Language! Who does Derek Van Orden think he is, supporting an abortion ban?
I'm Rebecca Cook. Let me tell you who I am. I grew up on a dairy farm, run a small business, and I wait tables. Around here, we work hard, respect our neighbors' freedoms, and aren't looking for special treatment. We need one of us to represent us. That's why I approve this message.
A suspected Venezuelan gang member who was arrested for domestic battery.
Violently attacked a woman physically and sexually.
The border crisis is real here in Wisconsin.
Criminal gangs harming our community.
We're stretched thin. Open borders and weak politicians are crushing us.
Rebecca Cook is one of them. She doesn't back law enforcement. She'll never secure the border. She doesn't even want to.
That's why we stand with Derek Van Orden. He has our back.
And I've got yours. I'm Derek Van Orden, and I approve this message.
Get an 11% rebate on everything at Menards. Be prepared for the unexpected with Generac home standby generators. Their advanced technology starts within seconds of sensing a power loss. Save over $600 on this standby generator after rebate. Master Force has everything you need to clean up your yard. This cordless leaf blower has up to 30 minutes of runtime with a fully charged battery. Get an 80-volt cordless leaf blower for $214.99 after an 11% rebate.
Save big money at Menards.
This is Bidenomics.
Bidenomics.
2/3 of registered voters believe the economy is getting worse.
And we are very proud of Bidenomics.
The rising gas prices, food prices really wallop the black community.
Imagine a mother who's making minimum wage trying to feed children. They're killing us without killing us.
That is called Bidenomics.
Restoration PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
All right, let's start here. This is a frost advisory for tonight. Low temperatures down near 30 to 35 across far northern Wisconsin. A couple spots, though, could dip their toes into the upper 20s for lows tonight. After we did this today, we have 50s, 60s, and 70s on the map across northern Wisconsin today. Pretty much near 70 area-wide, though, for tomorrow, as warmer temperatures are on the way. The average high is 61, the average low being 38. The record high 82 back in 1922, sunset earlier at 6:33. And precipitation-wise, so we're below average again across our region. And there is a little bit of rain in our forecast for us basically on late Saturday night and the early parts of Sunday morning. Right now, though, temperature-wise, it's already 50 in Rhinelander, 53 for Antigo, but just off to our west, already near freezing there in Hayward. This is where the clear skies are, clear skies, radiational cooling. We're going to lose this heat very quickly tonight, and that's going to give us those low temperatures in the 30s across our region. But a nice recovery tomorrow, back up mid-upper 60s or so. Low 70s are back in the forecast on Saturday, a bit cooler for Sunday, and then right back up again Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. In fact, there's many areas now, or computer guidance suggesting that these temperatures now on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday could actually be mid to upper 70s around here. So warmer temperatures are back in the 7-day forecast. Today, though, lots of clear skies early, followed by lots of cloud cover, kind of high wispy clouds. There was a system in the area. It's departing the area right now. And on radar, it looks pretty impressive. But again, this air down here is so dry, you can't get rain out of that. In fact, check out these dew points right now at 35 in Rhinelander, 43 for Wapaka. It is tough to get rainfall out of dew points like this. So the Virga on the radar you see here. I just checked again, Portage County back to Wood County. Although the radar sees this stuff, it's not reaching the ground. It's evaporating first, and thus we call that Virga. But again, the clearing line is right here across parts of western Wisconsin. That's going this way. When you get into the clear skies, temperatures are going to drop very quickly across our region and giving us those low temperatures in the 30s tonight. And then all this gets out of here by tomorrow morning, and we're in for a very nice day tomorrow and also for Saturday before we get some showers back in the forecast for us Saturday night. And we could use the rain. In fact, here is the drought monitor where it's been dry across the U.S. Comes out every Thursday. anything yellow is level 1 drought conditions, and most of the country is there right now. It's been dry across much of the country. For us, though, we have levels 1, 2, and 3. Now, we're past the growing season, but still, we could use some moisture, and there is a little bit of moisture in the forecast for us later on Saturday. For tonight, though, lots of clear skies out there. Frost is likely in spots. Look for low temperatures down near 33. For tomorrow, it's Friday. Lots of sunshine, high temperatures, mid-upper 60s again tomorrow, with that northwest breeze around 5. Then looking ahead, your 7-day forecast shows tomorrow mid-60s, low 70s for Saturday. Again, some rain showers are a pretty good bet now. Late Saturday into Sunday, more sunshine for Sunday, high at 59, a bit cooler. And then the slow climb begins again Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, back up in the low to mid-70s by the middle portions of next week. Dan?
Thanks, Jeff. The Oneida County Health Department has seen an increase in whooping cough cases this year. According to the Wisconsin Department of Health Services, as of September 27th, there have been 758 confirmed cases of whooping cough statewide. 40% of those cases are in individuals aged 11 to 18 years old.
It can be kind of tricky to identify at first because what that first week of illness, it almost is like a cold, runny nose, just kind of feel like, hey, I got a cold. But that cold then progresses into a very uncontrollable cough, very like violent coughing.
While no deaths have been reported, there have been 4 reported cases of whooping cough in Oneida County. Rhinelander held their breast cancer awareness volleyball game against Medford. Coming up on Newswatch 12, Saul Meyer will be here to tell us if they were able to keep the ball rolling at home.
Why take the hit on this 2024 GMC when you can save $7 grand on this used 2023? If you can't see the difference, why pay the difference? Go now to lenstruck.com. That's lenstruck.com.
Taco John's new 2 for $5 Fiesta Chicken Tacos are here to Fiesta. Grilled old white meat chicken is here to Fiesta. And creamy Fiesta sauce is obviously here to Fiesta. That's kind of its thing. New 2 for $5 Fiesta Chicken Tacos at Taco John's.
I'm Tammy Baldwin, and I approve this message.
Fentanyl is killing over 1,000 people a year in Wisconsin. New reporting shows that Eric Hovde is doing business with a bank accused of links to the Mexican drug cartel. Banco Azteca loaded up $26 million in cash and flew it to Eric Hovde's bank in California. Other U.S. banks have cut ties with this Mexican bank, but Eric Hovde took their money. That's 26 million more reasons you can't trust Eric Hovde.
Arthritis, high blood pressure, breast cancer. Almost everyone has a pre-existing condition and could lose health insurance if Derek Van Orden and Washington Insiders get their way. They take money from big insurance companies, then try to strip coverage for pre-existing conditions. Van Orden and Washington Insiders don't care about you, so if you get sick, you get dropped. Time to drop Derek Van Orden and these Washington Insiders from Congress.
I'm Rebecca Cook, and I approve this message.
He murdered a father of 3, sentenced to life in prison. Kamala Harris pushed to use tax dollars to pay for his sex change.
I made sure that they changed the policy so that every transgender inmate would have access.
It sounds insane because it is insane. Kamala was the first to help pay for a prisoner's sex change.
The power that I had, I used it in a way that was about pushing for the movement, frankly, and the agenda.
Kamala's agenda is they, them, not you.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
Why take the hit on this 2024 GMC when you can save $7 grand on this used 2023? If you can't see the difference, why pay the difference? Go now to lenstruck.com. That's lenstruck.com.
Coming up on Newswatch 12 today, we'll have another edition of Homeward Bound with Catkins Animal Rescue.
And above average temperatures will be continuing this week and into next week, but unfortunately, we will stay dry for the most part the next several days.
The Brewers had victory snatched right out from their hands tonight at the hands of the New York Mets in Game 3 of the National League Wild Card Series. A 4-run ninth inning flipped a 2-0 lead into a 4-2 loss. Let's go to Milwaukee, where our own Drew Chelly is right now. Drew?
Thanks, Saul. Heartbreaking doesn't even begin to describe what took place here tonight at American Family Field. up by 2 runs with one of the game's best closers on the mound. A few minutes later, the Brewers were walking off the field losers in a 4-2 heartbreaking game to the New York Mets. So let's see how this one all went down tonight. It was 0-0 until the 7th. Jake Bowers, after being brought in to pinch hit, he takes a 3-2 pitch to deep right field. That is a solo home run, and that gave the Brewers a 1-0 lead. Next pitch, Sal Frelick made this place even louder. He crushed this one to right. Absolute no-doubter. This one went 408 feet. Back-to-back home runs. The Brewers would bring a 2-0 lead into the 9th. In the 9th, Devin Williams on 2 outs away from the win, and Pete Alonso takes a 3-1 changeup to deep right. This one is gone. 3-run homer, and just like that, the Mets have a 3-2 lead. In the bottom of the 9th, Brewers down 4-2, tying run on. But Bryce Terang hits it right at Francisco Lindor. He tags second, fires to first, and that did it. The Mets, they rally from 2-0 down, and they win this one 4-2. So we were minutes from celebration here at American Family Field, and instead, 41,000 left this place heartbroken. The Mets head to Philadelphia, and the Brewers head home, losers in the wild card round. Here in Milwaukee, I'm Drew Shelley, Newswatch 12.
Thanks for that, Drew. Volleyball season is heating up. Medford has been red hot lately, and Rhinelander is on the rise. The Hodags hosted the Raiders in a very intriguing Great Northern Conference match with potential playoff implications on the line in Rhinelander. So let's see who is able to come out on top in this GNC matchup. First set, this Medford team is good. Their serve throws Rhinelander off balance, but the Hodags were able to recover, but it was not enough. Finley Arndt sets up Shayla Radlinger for a big-time spike to get Medford on the board. But the Hodags showed fight. Kayla Skubal gets the Hodag ace, and Rhinelander is rolling. Final point in the set, these two teams were just throwing haymakers at this point. Libby Bookman shows the touch, but Radlinger sends it right back. Bookman's going to try another spike, but gets denied by the great wall of Radlinger. Medford is going to go on to win this thing 3-0. Let's stick with volleyball and check out some scores from around our area. First off, Marshfield was able to defend home court with the Tigers, taking out DC Everest 3-1. Next, Stratford's continuing to look dominant, sweeping Manawa 3-0. Pacelli and Amherst went to war and saw the Cardinals take this one in 5 sets. And finally, another war. Wausau West Wisconsin Rapids went to 5 sets as well, with the Warriors holding on to win it 3-2. The Wisconsin Badgers will be without their top rusher for potentially the remainder of this football season. Wisconsin running back Ches Malusi announced that he will sit out for an extended period of time to focus on his health. Malusi has suffered a multitude of injuries while playing for the Badgers, including a torn ACL in 2021, a broken arm in 2022, and a broken leg and ankle in 2023. He rushed for 232 yards and 3 touchdowns this season, and Malusi said that he will step away from football, but a team spokesperson said that he is more than welcome to return to the Badgers if he wants, even if it's that this season. Let's take a look at some soccer scores going on from around our area. First off, Anago was able to take down Rhinelander at home, beating the Hodags 1-0. Next, some high-scoring matchups, with DC Everest beating Marshfield 8-2, and Lakeland Union beating Mosinee 8-0 to defend home field in a big way. Finally, Northland Pines continued their hot streak, taking out Medford 5-1. On to our final set of area scores. First, Rhinelander went on the road to take down Tomahawk 135-31 in some girls swimming. Finally, Medford hosted Colby Abbey, and the Raiders defend home pool, getting the 109-59 win. Be right back after the break.
This portion of News Watch 12 is brought to you by Northwoods Furniture, Eagle River.
You've probably seen all these negative ads against me. Well, here's the deal. They are designed to tear us apart.
But here's the truth. My life's work has been fighting on behalf of others. It's why I became a prosecutor, district attorney, and attorney general. I took out drug cartels and human traffickers to protect our communities. Look, everyone is tired of the petty, destructive politics. Let's turn the page and chart a new way forward. I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message.
Career politician Tammy Baldwin doesn't share our Wisconsin values. Baldwin's life partner is a Wall Street executive who has invested in industries that Tammy oversees in Washington. But Senator Baldwin refuses to disclose her partner's financial assets. That's a conflict of interest. They're getting richer while you're paying more. Tammy Baldwin's not on your side. She's in bed with Wall Street.
I'm Eric Hovde, and I approve this message. Join the team and give today.
You've got this. Your big moment on their big day. The dress? Another one you'll never wear. Gift? Practical. Yeah, you've got this. Just like Associated Bank's got you with early pay on direct deposits. So when you get invited to your third destination wedding in as many months, we'll be there with you.
When we first met Todd, we thought Jen was kidding.
You've got this with Associated Bank.
Phones were made to help us connect, yet somehow they've made us less connected, which is ironic. Don't you think? We try to put our phones down, but we need to pick them up to see the menu. We can't watch something without also watching something else.
Ironic.
Ironic. But look, here's a phone company who wants you to use your phone less.
That's ironic.
Yeah, but in a good way. Let's find us again with Us Mode. U.S. Cellular. Built for us.
Traffic jam.
Ugh, and I'm already late.
Manufacturing is the backbone of the Wisconsin economy. Corporations try to outsource our jobs, and Pat Schneider is doing nothing to stop them. Schneider voted to kill a Buy American bill that would have protected Wisconsin jobs. And that's not all. Schneider voted to cut $1.4 billion from public schools and against a tax cut for working families. He gets it. He's one of us.
Growing up around Wausau, my family worked hard to make ends meet. Today, it's even harder for the middle class. That's why I'll fight to create more jobs and lower costs.
The Eagle River Area Chamber of Commerce is getting ready to host their biggest event of the year. The 44th Annual Cranberry Festival will kick off this weekend at the Vilas County Fairgrounds. Kim Emerson, the Executive Director of the Eagle River Chamber, shares the details.
We have activities that are taking place in downtown Eagle River, which is going to be a farmer's antique vintage market. The fiber artists and weavers show and sale is down there. Fork will be down there with wonderful food. And then we've got fresh craisins and cranberries being sold down there as well.
So that's just a small portion of this huge event in celebration of Wisconsin's #1 producing fruit. More information can be found on the Chamber's website. Grandpa's Farm in Merrill has been in business for almost 2 decades, providing a place for families to enjoy time together. Reporter Christopher Bouchong spoke with an owner to learn more about the history of the farm.
For the last 15 years, Grandpa's Farm has put on corn mazes, pumpkin picking, petting zoos, and more. Tricia Crockford is the co-owner of Grandpa's Farm and said the farm has been in her family for over a century.
We are the 5th generation to own this piece of land and to farm here. As I was growing up, my parents milked cows in the downstairs of this barn where we're standing right now.
Her father, Jim Sievert, is the one called Grandpa, a man who loved to provide a place for kids to adventure.
It used to be in the olden days that kids would have a grandpa's farm or an uncle's farm or somebody in their family that they could go visit and that they could learn about farming, they could learn about where their food comes from, they could learn about just fun without technology, without modern technology.
As Grandpa was meeting his first grandchildren, he had a unique idea.
He said, other grandkids need to have a Grandpa's Farm to go to. And so that's where the name came about, Grandpa's Farm.
To keep the history alive, they do demonstrations of how things were done back when Grandpa was on the farm.
We do demonstrations in our kitchen area of how you make ice cream the old-fashioned way. And then they can have a sample of the homemade ice cream and talking about how they had to, where they got the ice from, that they had to milk the cow for the milk.
Along with the history of how everything worked, they labeled the areas after family.
This one is labeled Grandma Lucinda's Kitchen. That's my great-grandma, so my dad's grandma, and things like that. So there's the different places that have labels that are connected to family members as well.
Grandpa's Farm has a unique history, but also many different things for families to explore. The farm will be open on weekends until October 20th. Reporting in Merrill, Christopher Bouchon, Newswatch 12.
Get the best tire prices, period, during the Factory Direct Tire event at Sherrill Tire and Auto Service. Up to $200 back by online or mail-in rebate on a select set of 4 Goodyear tires when you use a Goodyear credit card. Through November 1st at Sherrill Tire and Auto Service. Find your location at SherrillTire.com.
Kamala Harris is going to significantly raise taxes.
Taxes are going to have to go up?
Kamala's plan will raise families' taxes by nearly $2,600 a year. Under Kamala, prices have already soared. Now she'd make it worse with even higher taxes.
Taxes are going to have to go up?
President Trump will cut taxes again. No taxes on tips, overtime, or Social Security.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
Did you know more than 1/3 of adults don't get enough sleep at night? Hi, I'm Kristen from Sleep Central on Highway 51 South in Minocqua, your bedding and futon headquarters. Our specialty sleep shop is committed to helping you sleep. We carry the largest selection of name brand mattresses in northern Wisconsin, in stock and ready for delivery. With a wide variety of futons and unique bedroom furniture with quality all-wood construction, as well as accessories to complement your bedding, we are your one-stop sleep shop. Sleep Central. Better sleep, pain-free, that's our promise.
We need real working people in Washington.
What a phony. Cook spent the last decade working as a political operative. Earned her money helping defund the police radicals like Mandela Barnes, the most anti-police candidate in Wisconsin history. Now, Cook won't let you protect your family. She wants to ban the most popular rifle in the country, earning an F from the NRA. Rebecca Cook, phony insider, dangerously liberal.
I'm Derek Van Orden, and I approve this message.
Fentanyl is one of the most lethal drugs on the market. This much can kill thousands. These deadly drugs are pouring across our border. But Biden, Harris, and Democrats have done nothing to stop it. Tammy Baldwin claims she's trying, but she's failed. She took credit for an anti-fentanyl bill she didn't write and opposed efforts to secure the border. Senator Baldwin and Democrats have done nothing, and our communities are paying the price.
I'm Eric Hovde. I approve this message.
The Factory Direct Tire event at Sherrill Tire and Auto Service has the best tire prices, period. Through November 1st, get up to $200 back by online or mail-in rebate on a select set of 4 Goodyear tires when you use the Goodyear credit card. Sherrill Tire and Auto Service. Find your location at SherrillTire.com.
Tune in to Newswatch 12 evenings on October 11th for Your Voice, Your Vote with Jim Holprin and Joe Handrick.
All right, Dan and Saul, temperatures are cooling off very quickly out there now. The clouds are scooting out of here. And yeah, clear skies means cold temperatures tonight, down near 30 for a low for many of us. Thus, a frost advisory. The areas here in blue. Again, if you have a garden, you still like it, put a cover on it, bring them inside. They will not like the cold temperatures out there tonight. But a nice recovery here. Upper 60s tomorrow, low 70s Saturday. And likely now some rain showers. Haven't said that for a while. Late Saturday into early Sunday morning.
We're not at the time with this frost where I gotta start closing my windows.
Not
right?
yet.
I'm still good. All right.
Not yet. Soon.
All right. Thanks for joining us on Newswatch 12 at 10. We'll see you back here tomorrow.
I'm a nurse in Wisconsin, and my patients don't want politicians like Eric Hovde making their healthcare decisions.
I am totally opposed to abortion.
Hovde means what he says about opposing reproductive rights.
Eric Hovde supported overturning Roe v. Wade, which led to an abortion ban in Wisconsin.
And that's a ban with no exceptions for rape or incest.
What Hovde supports criminalizes abortion and doctors like me.
We need to vote against Eric Hovde.
Win Senate is responsible for the content of this ad.
I thought these were $6.
In 2019, but not since Biden and Kamala.
That's a little jarring.
Just like housing, fuel, even beer.
Tom.
Sorry, Mom. But that's why I voted against the wasteful Washington spending, and I'm working to preserve more of your paycheck and put the good stuff back on your table.
Keep the change.
And no tax on tips.
Finally, a good deal.
Just wait till November. I'm Tom Tiffany, and I approve this message.
Celebrate the legendary Meatloaf and his hit songs, performed by the American Idol winner Caleb Johnson and the Neverland Express. featuring alumni of Meatloaf's official band. Celebrating Meatloaf is a fiery tribute to the iconic rock star. Celebrating Meatloaf comes to the Grand Theater Wausau Friday, October 25th. Tickets at grandtheater.org.
Save big money on your next upgrade now at Menards. Give any room a fresh look with the beauty and durability of tile from Mohawk. Mohawk features over 350 ceramic, porcelain, mosaic, and glass tiles. Artisan Grove ceramic wall tile is 99 cents each after rebate. Complete your tiling job with professional quality mortars and grouts from Tech. Achieve everlasting beauty with premium power grout. It's stain-proof, never needs sealing, and only $18.99 after 11%.